Joe Rogan tweeted out just this last weekend about the Canadian studies showing that marijuana could potentially prevent coronavirus. You know, it's also good for CTE, PTSD, football players, troops. You know, last time we were here, we were talking about what if weed was good for corona. Could we see marijuana legalization under a Trump administration, the current one?
I don't know. It's not an issue. I'm outside of the administration, so I don't get involved in it. But certainly from a medicinal standpoint, I personally, definitely get it. And I'm a big states' rights guy, so I'd kick it to the states and get rid of some of the federal stuff. But that's, that's just me.
About that state tax revenue, they could use it. They could use it.
That in some cases, I don't know if it's been as good as people have hoped. I mean, I think if you look at some of the states, certainly you speak to law enforcement, like in Colorado, which I do, because I want to get both sides of the story. They're like, listen, it actually hasn't solved the crime problem because the cost is so high that it never eliminated the black market that exists. So you still have, some of that issue.
True.
So, again, but I'm sort of libertarian on the issue, and in general, if people want to do it, it doesn't bother me much at all. And I think again, what this administration has done is they've cut so much of the red tape. Right, it was sort of part of their thesis prior to this, like get rid of the excessive government regulations, but they sped up the process so you don't have sort of the arbitrary red tape that you'd have going through this process. So operation like warp speed. I mean, they've put stuff into legitimate clinical trials, but like legitimate, where there's science they're backing up, and it's the same thing. But instead of taking 5 years, they've done it in 4 months.
Yeah,
that's the kind of stuff I want to see, but I want to make sure it's still right, and they're doing that so you can maintain sort of the best protections of the system while getting rid of the bullshit bureaucracy and actually end up with a result much faster, much cheaper, and much more effective. But that's not the way DC usually works because they got a lobbyist. They want it to take time. I mean, hydroxychloroquine, it's been on the market for 60 years. It's got to be terrible for you. Well, why? Could it be? Could it be because it's a cheap alternative and you don't have to spend trillions of dollars trying to figure it out? I mean, I don't know. But, stranger things have certainly happened.
Well, there's a new, and there's a new, also there's what is it? Some kind of herb, too, that people are talking about now.
Yeah, marijuana.
I think we're moving on.
I say get these
definitely
doctors.
That, but also
just get these doctors on meth.
It's 100% effective, but that's just me. I don't know. I'm not a
Don.
Kamala Harris couldn't win her own state. Like, guess what? Other than the weather and the scenery, what do you want from California for America? It's like, please don't California my America. Like, I don't want any of that nonsense.
They're trying to. They're moving everywhere. They're moving everywhere from the state.
Fair.
They're
to fund Democrat-run cities that have been run into the ground over 5 decades. Sometimes,
that's why you need the marijuana tax revenue
that has
in the
nothing
states.
to do with COVID.
Look, that's marijuana.
Marijuana does solve a lot of that.
But,
do you think Congress will? You think Congress will get?
Think about it, Don.
How do you really feel on this, Will? How do you feel about these issues?